Hello. Today we're going to be talking about how to solve systems of equations. So there's two methods of doing so that we're going to talk about today, substitution and elimination. So the first method we're going to do is substitution. And to know when to use substitution is when either it starts out where you just got one variable by itself on one side, or if it's very easy to get that one variable by itself. So you can rearrange an equation pretty easily to do so. In this problem is easily set up like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in this variable over here, but instead of just having y over here, we're going to plug in this side of the equation. Okay, so we're going to do that. So we're going to write out this bottom equation, but with the 2x plus 3 instead of y. So 3x plus 2x plus 3, because that's where y was, equals 9. Now we can just combine like terms. 5x plus 3 equals 9. Subtract 3 to both sides. 5x equals 6. Now divide by 5 on both sides. X equals 5/6. Right, so there's x. But remember, it's a system of equation. There's two variables. So we now need to solve for y. So what we can do is just plug this 5/6 back into either one of these equations. Me personally, I think this top one looks a little bit easier, so we'll just do that. So y equals 2, and then plug 5 and 6 in for x. 5/6 plus 3. Okay, so now 2 times 5 divided by 6 is going to be, let's see, that would be 5/3 plus 3. And that right there, so it's going to be y equals, let's see here, that would be 14/3. All right, there's the first solution. Okay, now we're going to go to this next one, and so now we see that this one is very similar. We already have a variable equals one of the other ones, so we can just plug this x into right there. So now we can go 2, 5 minus y plus 3y equals 7. All right, so now distribute this out. 10 minus 2y plus 3y equals 7. Combine like terms. 10 minus y equals 7. Now subtract this 10 over. We get negative y equals -3. Now we can just multiply by -1 on both sides. Y equals 3. Well, now we can plug back into this equation right here. X equals 5 minus, plug in 3 for y. 3x equals 2. Boom. There we go. There's substitution. Very easy. Now we're going to go on to elimination. And both of these, I would say, are the same difficulty. However, it's just different times when you can use different ones. Okay. So now for elimination, when we're going to use this is when we see that something lines up nicely like this, where we have a 3y and a negative 3y on one side, or we have a 3y and a positive 3y down here. You'll see things like this later. But so what we can do, how we can think of this is we're either going to add or we're going to subtract this bottom equation. So in this case, because these are opposite signs, if we add them, these two are going to cancel out, because adding a negative is really subtracting. 3 minus 3 is 0. So the goal of elimination is to eliminate one of these variables by adding the equations like this. So what we're going to do, 2x plus 4x equals 6x plus 3 minus 3y equals 0. So we don't need to write anything right there. And then 12 plus 0 is just 12. So now divide by 6 on both sides. X equals 2. Okay, and now just like before, now that we have we've solved for one of the variables, we just plug back in. So I think this top equation looks a little easier. So we'll go 2, and then plug in 2 for x. So 2 times 2 plus 3y equals 12. Now that's 4. We're going to subtract that to the other side. 3y equals 8. Now y equals 8/3. Okay, now we're on the last one. So if you look at this one, we go, okay, how are we going to solve this? Is it going to be substitution or elimination? When you first look at it, you go, okay, well, there's no variable by itself, so it's not immediately apparent that we can use substitution, and none of these coefficients are the same. So you can't just, if you add 2y to y, it's not going to equal 0. None of the variables can just cancel out super easily. So we have two options. A, we can rearrange one of these equations so that we have one of the variables by itself, or we can multiply through one of these equations so that we have the same coefficient on both, so that we can easily eliminate it. I think it looks a little bit easier to just rearrange this bottom equation so we have it equal to x. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to subtract y to both sides, and now this bottom equation is just going to look like this: x equals 1 minus y. So now it's obvious what we're using, right? Substitution. So now we can just plug in this x up here. So now we get 5 times 1 minus y minus 2y equals 4. Distribute this out. 5 minus 5y minus 2y equals 4. Now subtract that 5 to both sides, combine these like terms. 5y minus 2y is negative 7y. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. We can multiply by negative 1 to both sides to make both of these positive, and then divide both sides by 7. Y equals 1/7. All right. There you have it. That's how to solve systems of equations. There's a link in the description to my website where I have a lot more practice questions with answers. So if you want more practice, go there. For more math and science content, and for anything test prep or anything like that, follow my page, and thanks for watching.